Let's dive into keep in touch reminders. As I mentioned earlier, the way to think about Cloze is think of it more like a personal assistant, because traditional CRM, you have to go figure out who to call next. Am I focusing on my leads? Am I focusing on past clients? What am I doing next? Cloze will put the right people in front of you at the right time. Because we're connected to your email and your calendar and your calls and your texts, we know precisely the last time you talked to anyone that you have in your Cloze account. So it can be very precise. And you can fine tune it, of course. But you don't have to think about who to contact today. Cloze will do that for you. Work through your list and you'll get a lot done. Most of the time, when we think about this, it can feel kind of daunting. But Cloze will break it up into bite-sized chunks that are very manageable. A handful of people per day so that you can reach out to them, rekindle those relationships, keep them strong, and then move on with your day. Instead of trying to stay in touch with lots and lots of people every single day, it makes it very manageable. It adds up to a lot over the course of a year. Just open that agenda, start there, and you can really dive in and get a lot done in a short amount of time. When you're looking at a keep in touch reminder on the agenda, it's going to look like this. You're going to see the little gray text there. It's going to show you exactly when you last communicated this particular contact. It's been 17 days. Cloze is picking up on a pattern of how frequently we talk and putting it back in front of you. The keep in touch reminders can be broken up in two ways. We have AI applied across the board here, but think of it as the here and now cycle. And then those folks that you once knew really well, and maybe it's been a few years since you talked to them. We call those a blast from the past. Haven't talked to somebody in 2-3 years. They were once a very strong relationship, but you haven't talked to them. Cloze is going to catch those relationships and put a few of those on your agenda on a regular basis. Not a lot, we're not going to overwhelm you, but just a few so you can help rekindle those relationships. A good example of the AI going back in time as far as we can go to find those strong relationships and pull them forward to make sure you're keeping them strong. When you do have a keep in touch reminder on the agenda, you're going to see several actions you can take. Swipe right to snooze. Maybe you don't have time right now. You can snooze it for later in the day or any other day you pick. You can email them, swipe an email, or you can call. So those three actions can be taken. If you swipe to the left, you can skip it and we'll remind you on the next cycle. If we typically remind you every week, we'll skip this week and we'll remind you next week. Or go a little further and you can mute them and then we wouldn't remind you anymore about that particular contact. 3 actions to the right, 2 actions to the left. Very, very simple. Now, one thing you can do when it comes to your keep in touch reminders is fine tune how frequently Cloze reminds you. So you may say for all of your leads, you want to be reminded every 3 days, every day, every week. You can pick and fine tune that. So our AI will pick up on timing, but you can also fine tune it. And the way we do that is based on the stage and segment. In this example, the stage is warm and the segment is seller. For my warm sellers, I could set a keep in touch schedule to remind me every week or every 3 days or whatever schedule I choose. And then for my hot sellers, I could set a different keep in touch schedule every 3 days, every week, whatever I choose. Each stage and segment combination can have its own keep in touch schedule. Now to change these settings, it's very easy. Tap on more, tap on settings, and then go over to the customization section and you'll see a section in there called people and companies. And then for each segment, it could be customers, clients, buyers, sellers, whatever segments you have, tap on that segment, tap on the little gear there, and then you'll see sliders that you can use to adjust how frequently Cloze reminds you. You can see here my warm buyers every 3 weeks, my hot buyers every week, in contract every week, and so on. Even my closed buyers, my past buyers every quarter. I have different cycles for different people. I can repeat this for other segments that I have. Now our AI may remind you earlier than that if we catch a pattern, but think of this as a backstop. Based on the last activity that Cloze can see, your calls, your emails, your meetings, and your texts, Cloze will remind you automatically. It's not an arbitrary date in a calendar. It's based on your real history of communication with that particular contact.